Welcome back to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg, where we're starting off on the Old Republic? Is that what this map is called? I'm not entirely sure. Apparently I'm playing caster trivia with myself. We'll find out in just a moment. Let's introduce the players first, because spawning right here, playing in red, we have none other than Kjær. Down in the bottom left, playing in orange. Not a color we see all too often, but it does look nice. We have none other than Solar. Old Republic it is. It's a good map. And actually, apparently the orange color kind of fades into the background quite nicely as well. I've noticed that recently a lot of the professional players have started choosing their own colors. Sometimes the tournament rules are pretty strict, especially for the really big events, but a lot of the games that I've been casting lately are from Wardy-hosted tournaments, and I guess Wardy has just decided that he no longer cares about the colors that the players play with, and I sort of agree. I think in a mirror matchup, it can be a little bit annoying, but having Solar pick the greatest color, aka the national color of the Netherlands, I mean, it needs to be said, it is nice. There's actually a lot of colors you can pick. When you pick like 2v2, 3v3, or 4v4, you unlock way more colors in the custom game lobby. But I think normally there's like a dozen or so available. Either way, first unit is out on the map. Ooh, and it does indeed get a drone kill. A little bit sloppy there from Solar. You're not quite supposed to lose a worker there to a Reaper. Little mistakes, of course, can be made, and it's not the end of the world, but usually it can be a sign of players that are a bit frustrated. Don't want to look into it all too much because honest mistakes are very possible, because believe it or not, professional gamers tend to be human. At least the majority of them. Again, the jury is not yet out on Serral. Max specs, another question mark. But Solar apparently is. It's nice to see. Get off your creep, Brenda. Delaying the creep tumor ever so slightly. It's actually very common at, like, say, for example, a Home Story Cup when the pro gamers are commentating games as well. When Zerg loses a single drone like that, pro gamers will, on the couch while casting, pretty much immediately call GG. Losing a drone is not actually GG, but it does kind of feel like it. If anything, it's the one worker down, right? That's gonna cost a little bit of lost mining time throughout the course of the game. But it's also a lot of mental damage. Kjær is gonna be very happy with how this game has started off. It's gonna be a triple command center 1-1-1 right here for the South Korean Terran player. I wonder if Solar actually is going to be doing the cool Zerg thing that all the top-level Zergs have been mixing in lately, where for some reason they skip out banelings until the late game. I secretly hope he doesn't. I feel like Solar is not really the type of guy that plays particularly spicy StarCraft, but we've been seeing this from a lot of the top dogs, and Solar is arguably, yeah, maybe like top 3 Zerg right now on the planet. He's an absolute monster. He's extremely good. He doesn't really lose very often, so I wonder if he is now also starting to steer away from quick banelings into quick infestors instead. Only time will tell. We'll probably see a lair here in just a moment. Maybe a single evolution chamber. Maybe a double evolution chamber, actually. No, it's going to be a lair. So the normal thing to do, right, so to clarify, is to get a baneling nest when the lair is about a third or so of the way done. That would be a good time to be planting down the baneling nest so you can go straight into baneling speed. We do not have any Evo chambers here. So this kind of looks like a baneling nest right about right now. Second gas geyser's coming up. Could also be into Hydras. That's another thing a lot of Zergs have been mixing in lately. I am honestly questioning all of it. Nah, it's just going to be banelings. Okay. It's just going to be good old banelings here for Solar instead. Third command center has landed in the meantime. The Banshee is going around together with the Hellions. Second Banshee is going to be joining in just a moment. We do have the personal cloaking field done for those ladies, so maybe they will be able to dive in, but Solar already repositioning the Spore Crawler here, making sure that all of it is at least protecting the mineral lines somewhat reasonably. And with 8 queens out, as long as Solar is in position, I've got a feeling that those Banshees will be halted quite well. But of course, when you get those Banshees and the Hellions at the same time, it's all about positioning the army that really, really matters. Banshees are going to head into the main base. Hellions here are distracting. There's 1 queen in the main together with a Spore Crawler, so 2 drones. Okay. 2 drones is not too bad. 3 drones. But there it is. An upgrade that we have not seen very much for like a week or so. At minute 6. Very weird. This has been the gold standard for literally years. But lately, Zerg players at the highest level have been mixing it up a bit. Well, we'll see. Maybe Solar is going to pay the price because of it. Or maybe he just doesn't respect Cure to have good enough micro to target fire down the individual Banes. That was a nice little attack, though, here from the Zerg player, getting 3 Hellions. The Reaper now also gone. First big attack, though, is lined up. And that's why Zergs get this Baneling speed timing specifically. It is to deny these type of mid-game attacks. So Stimpack is done already. We've got 1-1 upgrades here on the horizon for Cure. And while there are some really nice siege tank spots here, as long as the Banelings have Baneling speed, centrifugal hooks should be able to roll through most of it. But the tank is still going to siege up. I love the Hellions there as well, protecting it. It's not quite, though, the siege tank that is within a range of the hatchery. So Solar will have to try his absolute best to defend this. Hive coming up right now together with a Hydra Den, second factory in the meantime for the Terran, and then also a 4th command center. So by no means is either player really committing to this too hard. Baneling over there does get a decent connection. Lings over here do get the wrap around, and that will be a cleanup in favor of the Zerg. Okay, the droning will commence yet again. Yeah, so this is quintessential normal Zerg. It seems to be a little bit up in the air as to what normal Zerg even means in 2026 so far. But this, in my mind, is the go-to for almost every Zerg player. We're probably going to see a Lurker Den, maybe a couple of Vipers. Blinding Clouds, of course, are incredibly nice. Solar, though, just sitting on, well, Hydraling Bane for the time being. Using the Queens here to tank some of the damage. And he'll have to obviously do a good job in that regard. Couple of Overlords here. 3 Overlords, actually. Ooh, end up going down. Nice pickup. Big Zergling run by, though. It's going to run through the right side flank. There are already a lot of units rallied onto that lowered supply depot, so I think entering the natural is pretty much impossible. What about the 3rd? Also, nicely walled off here by Cure, using clever positioning of all of the structures to his advantage. Viper is coming up right now, and the Zerglings, you know what? They have returned back home. Retargeting, though, is that siege tank, trying to get into the middle of the clump of units. But ultimately, there's just way too much Zerg. And Cure is going to be pushed back yet again. For the next push, though, we're going to be seeing a Viper. It's not much, but just like 2 Blinding Clouds is going to change the fights a lot. Disabling the siege tanks, forcing the Marines to run for a few more seconds, actually. The siege tank numbers are now down to just 1. And it's been situated over here to protect the 4th base and some of the 3rd, maybe the natural too, but we've gone into Widow Mines instead. Either way, Blinding Cloud can still be incredibly useful. Lurker Den as well here from the Zerg. Yeah, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised, right, to see Solar just still going with the tried and true build. Decent splitties. Push over here on the right side, though, by Cure. Gonna be able to get rid of some of the Queens and some of the Creep Tumors. Maybe an Overlord as well. Drilling Claws is finished at this point. That is a lot of Creep Tumors going down. You know what? This hit squad of Marines is just gonna kill the freaking hatchery. Sorry, lads, you did not jump in the plane in time. Parasitic Bomb rather than Blinding Cloud. In the meantime, though, even though this push for the Terran will be, well, forced back home, at least the remnants of it, it already got a lot of value done. There's also a fight happening on the left side. Not achieving too much. Solar already pre-splitting his army, having units in multiple sections of the map. Very easy to ball everything together, but usually not quite what you want to do. Cure's up to 8 Rex. We do not yet have the additional command centers. I was gonna say, we do expect that here in just a moment, and right when I was thinking about it, command center does indeed get popped down. Bunch of SCVs will be dying. Cure, though, committing to a counterattack instead. I'm a little bit surprised. He had so many units to defend against this sort of thing. The hero siege tank will go down, but in the meantime, a hatchery falls too. Cure is not afraid of burrowed banelings anywhere. He's not afraid of a bunch of infestors suddenly rearing their ugly heads. He's just running through the creep like he's on a little stroll. Doing a little bit of sightseeing. Overstimming the units, though, at this point, and that is so much death for the Terran player. In the meantime, I mean, the command center did have to evacuate that low ground. very little remains of the units that were marching through the creep, and I think Cure just did a massive overextension. I mean, when the Zergling run by hit right over here, his army was like right over here. It's not that big of a run. It's a little stim backwards just to clear out the Zerglings. That was a very confident move, I will say, but also very questionable. What about this, though? Huh. Cheeky little Widowmine with 2 health gets 6 kills just like that. Not too bad. Cure is still sitting here with 69 workers. My main concern, though, right now is Solar transitioning towards lurkers here. So what are we going to do against those? With just Marine Marauder Medevac, maybe some mines as well, we obviously are lacking Liberators. We're lacking Ghosts. And that means that these lurkers are going to hit ridiculously hard. And here we go, the March of the Lurkers. Solar is going to try and burrow them within range of the Planetary Fortress. Cure has decided that maybe he wants to go for the counter instead. Solar saw the movement there from the Terran, I believe. He decides to now move the units back home himself. Okay. Liberator transition is imminent here for Cure, but it's still such a long time away. Solar is maxed. I don't think Solar needs to be this careful, but I guess his economy is also not that great. Hatchery here in a world of trouble, but the lurkers are nearby and they are upgraded so they can burrow real fast. Still, though, they're not in the perfect position. Ultimately, this hit squad will have to go back home. In the meantime, we have a lot more rallied units out there. Looks like Zerg is thinking about maybe getting a surround here. He's trying to almost like box in the units in the upper left. New Planetary Fortress being acquired. Gets cancelled. Decides to go into a liftoff instead with 5 SCVs saved. Push over here at the front in the meantime, though. We're not heading for the Planetary Fortress anymore. We're just trying to ravage the third, and that mission has been very successful. Yeah, Cure is falling apart. That YOLO move through the creep a couple minutes ago is really costing him now. Even though the fights weren't horrendous, it's just the momentum that you miss out on, and he pays the price pretty much immediately. It's Solar who wins game number 1. Mothership is game number 2. Solar just getting good old Banelings into good old Lurkers. What a crazy unit composition. So from what I understand, right, one of the reasons why we've seen other top-level Zergs mix up the Baneling with Infestors instead is because the top-level Terrans, according to them, are too good at micro. They've had like a decade and a half to practice microing Marines, and right now, because of it, specifically guys like, say, for example, Clem, are just too good at microing Marines, and therefore Banelings are no longer worth it in the early mid-game. I mean, I can see that being true. I'm still not entirely convinced that the Infestor is a good substitute. But maybe that's why Solar is like, well, I'm going up against Cure. Cure is not really considered to be the best micro Terran in the world. It's actually kind of funny. Like, Cure has been consistently one of the very best, highest ranking players on the planet. Like, for like a decade now. But nobody ever says that Cure is like their favorite player. It's a little sad. Like, it sounds mean when I say it out loud. But Cure doesn't really have the best micro. He doesn't really have the best macro. I think a lot of people, when they see Cure play, they think, okay, I can do that. Like, if I practice hard enough, I can go ahead and give that a shot. Until you actually try it out, that it's incredibly freaking hard, and Cure is just better at it than pretty much anybody else. But Cure doesn't really play too spicy, just really stock standard StarCraft. And doing so very nicely, winning his fair share of tournaments too, so it's not like he's not successful. But this is a common question that I have always asked people at StarCraft tournaments, you know, like, who are you cheering for this particular event? Whenever people come up to me, it's always nice to talk a little bit of StarCraft. And I will always hear names like Maru, I will always hear names like Clem. Both of those Terrans especially have a ton of fans out there. Even though Cure may be quietly sitting there in the round of 8. Nobody ever mentions Cure. It's sad. Cure is one of my personal favorites. Anyway, let's see where we can go. A Hellion drive-by into the main. Getting a bit of work done. And this is actually hurting Zerg quite a lot. This is way more damage than you're supposed to get done as the Terran player at this point in time. Interestingly enough, Solar just decided to continue droning during all of this. Man, we have more Hellions trying to get the job done too. That's 8 drones down the drain. 8 drones and 6 links for 4 Hellions and a Reaper. I mean, it's not the absolute worst case scenario for Zerg. The follow-up Hellions are likely not going to be all too useful. That's the problem, I guess. You kind of give up your first batch of Hellions and they get decent damage done. But there's definitely strength in numbers for Hellions. I don't really think that these 4 can achieve too much, although we'll find out. Going 8 Hellions in total here is nothing too crazy. And if Solar is trying to catch back up by being a bit greedy, it might just work out. Okay, we do get a second Spore Crawler immediately. That one will probably get cancelled. Yep, as soon as that Banshee is forced to retreat. There is an Overlord out in the open, so there will be a little notification here for Solar that there is indeed another run-by attempted. Cure is smelling blood. How much damage? Yeah, Solar actually, in a strange way, kind of suffers from the same thing. Like, Solar is consistently, like, a top 8 player, right? Like, it's something he's been doing for years now. But likewise, if I ever ask players that are, or any StarCraft fans out there, like, who are you cheering for? Most people will cheer for, say, for example, Serral, maybe Raynor, right? Like, there's a bunch of Zergs. Even Rogue comes up a lot. There's a bunch of Zergs. Dark when he was competing. Nobody really ever seems to mention Solar. Maybe Solar versus Cure, man. Maybe this is just like, it's a top-ranking matchup. I'm wondering how this video is going to perform on YouTube now. Maybe it doesn't perform at all. Not very spicy. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, together. We can look at the view count. Maybe you can help me out by hitting the like button. But anyhow, I think both of these players are incredible. Some of the very best that we have in SC2. Cure trying his best to be a bit of a bully now. Going to be Mutaling Bane here for Solar. That's also kind of neat. Something Shin has been doing a lot lately. Another cancel on the 4th hatch. Solar, by the way, one of the Korean players that speaks fluent English. His English is very good. He usually, he almost functions like a bit of like a translator for the other Koreans too. Most of the Koreans speak at least a little bit of English, but obviously when it's like a second language, it can be a little bit tough and maybe you get a little shy. Solar does seem to be the translator in a lot of instances. Now, Solar has been a complete punching bag so far, losing quite a few units, but nothing all too terrible. I think the hatchery cancels are going to be painful for him. He wants to grab that map control back. Cure already, though, moving out once more. Baneling speed not yet done, only about 80% of the way finished, and Cure just finished 1-1. Muta's going to the main base, but there's a missile turret guy sitting around in his little turret, spinning around and trying his very best to shield away against whatever the Zerg player has. Solar having finding it difficult so far to really get his feet under him. Couple of Mutas here, a couple of SCV kills, fair enough. The missile turret guys used to spin way faster in Brood War. They probably prefer being missile turret guys in StarCraft 2. It's a better time, you know. I've just got a feeling if you're a missile turret guy in StarCraft 1, you're going to be very nauseous at the end of the day. Okay, well, Solar has somewhat stabilized. It's been messy, it's been rather sloppy, but yeah, I think this is fine. He's got 77 workers, his economy is good enough. These attacks, though, from Cure are still scary. Muta numbers are not really all too great. They're not really at a point yet where they can start fighting clumps of Marines. If you can continue building it up, that might be a possibility. 4th Command Center right now on the back of this, and we have 3 additional barracks. That's 6, 7, and 8. All coming up right around the same time. Transition here from Cure into good old Widow Mines with Drilling Claws, and he's got a Thor out as well just to deal with any Muta threat. Cure does still have some really big, scary attacks in him, though, especially when 2-2 is done. He's going to be able to max out by the time that these upgrades finish, and it's going to be right before Solar is really going to be super comfortable on Mutaling Bane. What Solar doesn't have at this point is a hive, right? He's getting an infestation pit right here. His economy is pretty good, but nothing amazing. I'm a little bit afraid for this incoming attack here that the Terran is going for. He's committing to the push a little early. Probably trying to see if we can get some freebie connections there with the Widow Mines. This is only part of the Terran army, though. There's a lot of units out on the map still. 4th, or actually 5th command center right now, getting a planetary fortress as well. Cloak gets activated on the bench sheet to fly it out. 2-2 now, just 10 seconds away from being done. Okay. Additional tech labs. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Ghost Academy here in just a moment for Cure. There's the hive coming up. Solar actually delaying it because he saw this incoming attack. It's still incoming, Solar. But I do agree that it feels a little weird, right? Terran has been camping out in the middle of the map now for about a minute. Oh, okay. Is this good enough, though? That's a lot of Marines nearby. The majority of the Terran army, though, is up north. And I think the Zerg units need to get closer here as well. No way. Nice split right there by Cure. Planetary here in the middle is good enough. New location for those Terran units to reinforce to. Push over here at the bottom is going to get denied. That was just a singular Banshee, but it did successfully distract all of the Mutalisks. And Cure is going to continue pushing. He's got another command center coming up. Adding on more and more Marauders right now as well in the front to tank some of the damage. Same reason why we have the Thor, why we have the Widow Mines. It's all to try and distract those Banelings. Mutas going in around the back right now. Mass repair immediately from Cure. There are 13 Mutas, but it's actually not going to be enough to break through it. Big Daddy Thor is leading the charge out front, and maybe the Thor will go down. Now it's going to live for the time being. There's one more on the back of it, but it's already gotten a good bit of damage done. Oh, SCVs and Marines sleeping on the job, and that may have been exactly what Solar was looking for. Oy, oy, oy. The multitasking here, not quite as crisp as it should have been. Ultra Cavern here for Solar now. I think that was the one thing Solar could have done to really stop this. I mean, it's difficult, right? The strategy is basically cross your fingers and hope you get somewhat lucky. Hope your opponent is busy microing the army down south and then at the same time distracted from standing on a creep there with the rest of the units. But that worked out really well for Solar. Counterattack immediately right now, though, by the South Korean Zerg. Ultra Cavern, Adrenal Glands, 3-3 coming up. Solar is celebrating the win big, but... Bigly. That's better, right? He's celebrating the win bigly. Yes, there we go. We gotta standardize the English language. Very important. It's a big investment, though. Solar is gonna, have like 1,000 minerals and gas tied up in things that aren't useful yet. Another hatchery council. In the meantime, though, Zergling run by over at that 4th. In the meantime, we also have the Mutas now in the main base. Big enough to start taking down the missile turrets themselves. SCVs are dying, and I wonder if Cure, right? Cure is never the fastest player out there. I wonder if this APM limitation is really going to hurt him. Now the natural expansion is also wide open. So many SCVs will pay the price. Solar was in a really rough position. This game was looking rocky. But now he's finding himself in a very playable spot. Unless Terran goes for a push very soon. Like, this is still... Look at this. Cure is not replenishing any of the SCV losses. Cure is basically trying to go for 200 supply worth of Terran army. I think if Cure goes for a push very soon, right about right now, he's gonna have 3-3 done. He's gonna have 135 army supply already. Solar does have the chitinous plating coming. 3-3 is nearly finished too. So it's gonna be a big power spike as well for the Zerg, but is there even enough? This is just such a gigantic Terran army, and Solar, despite dealing so much damage about a minute ago, now realizes that the Ultras are not gonna be good enough. We have all seen the games where the Ultras, they are out, and they just simply die within seconds of them engaging. Solar didn't want to see that again. He did not want his heart to break once more. Would have been nice, though, to see the Marines and the Marauders plow through it all. Just for the fans. No, I don't disagree right there with Solar. Honestly, that entire game was tough for Solar. Nothing in isolation was that big of a deal. Like the first Hellion run-by was recoverable, the second one was recoverable, the Banshees, they were recoverable, but that was Cure making one big error, right? Not paying attention to his army for a couple seconds there and being forced to multitask because he decided to split up his own units. Solar got one really nice detonation off with the Banelings against the units that were idling on creep. But other than that, Cure was in firm control the entire game long. And he did so in a very non-spicy way. Very conventional Terran aggression. I mean, he was a bit more YOLO, I think, with the Hellions than we normally see. But he won that game in the most Cure-like fashion. Not particularly memorable, but always quietly chipping away and winning a bunch of online cups here and there. So, let's see. It's going to be a Reaper here, yet again. SCV Scout leading the Reaper yet again. Command Center on the low ground once more as well. And I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a factory in a moment, and then also a third command center, a starport. And you can read this because of the second Vespian gas geyser that is currently not yet mining. So if you would go for the second gas a little bit quicker here as Terran, you can't really afford the third CC. But this is Cure opening up very normal. Hatch gas pool in the meantime for Solar. Likewise also, very normal. Solar not really the type of Zerg player that will delay the third gas, or speed up the third base production by getting the gas geyser in a delayed manner, right? Like you see a lot of that from the other Korean Zergs, but Solar not really the type of guy to do that. He mines exactly 100 Vespine, and then he pulls out. Oh, and we lose yet again another drone there to the third base. Cure already starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. We have one SCV there patrolling the third. It's now on its way back home. And then the Reaper made a beeline. Ooh, straight to the alternative third. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. There's the third command center, by the way, started up. Factory is nearly done. We'll probably see the Hellion production once more. And then we should see a starport momentarily as well. The requirement for the starport, of course, is 100 gas and then the existence of a factory. So it makes sense to go for it right about right now. There it is. Big switcheroo. We'll probably see the barracks here building a tech lab in a moment. This is the type of build order that the top-level Terran players can play in their dreams. Oh, that's another drone kill, though. 2 confirmed kills on a single Reaper. I mean, you can't see it, but this Reaper man is smiling below that mask. From ear to ear. Look at his cute little decals on the shoulders. Little stars. Okay. Now he's going to be joining up with his buddies, the Hellions. Probably some Banshees as well on the back of this, if I were to make a guess. Cure not going for any sort of shenanigans here with like a, say for example, a Raven or a Liberator. That is something we've seen both Björn as well as Clem mix in. Not going for any of those very strange Maru build orders. Maru likes to cut corners left, right, and center. He goes for the craziest timing attacks because he knows the opponents very well. And even though both of these players are very predictable across the board, neither of them is really playing against the opponent's predictability so much. Which I do think is a bit of a missed opportunity. Like, if you know that your opponent is pretty much always going to do the same thing, which in this case is for both of these players, you can't try and abuse that information against them, right? Like, this is a jack-of-all-trades type of build for both Solar as well as Cure. This does not really have any real weaknesses, so you can never really complain about the build. It's always going to be good. But you can certainly get some... You can cut some corners when your opponent is 90% of the time going to be going for this exact strat. Okay, here we go again. Ooh, no Evo Chamber block. Going for the Spore Crawler instead. This is not bad, though, for Solar. Losing a handful of drones, but getting a lot of Hellions for his troubles. Oh. Hellions idling for just a moment too long. Now the lair fires up. And I'm assuming we're going to be seeing a good old Baneling nest here again in just a moment. Second gas geyser would make sense. There it is. Yep. Evo chamber. Single Evo chamber. Okay. Ah, double Evo Chamber, then a Baneling Nest. Okay, the order in which he's getting it is a little bit odd. But I guess because the Lairier is a little bit later, he's gonna need all of this eventually anyways. In the meantime, we have Stimpack fired up on the other side of the map. And the medevac production will likely begin here in just a moment. Okay. Banshee's trying her best. So I wonder if Solar is again going to try and lead this game towards Lurkers. It seems to be his go-to almost every single time. In the previous game, obviously, he went Ultras, but I think that was because he was going Mutaling Bane. This is not looking like a game where he wants to play Mutaling Bane. We'll probably go into a Hydra Den and an Infestation Pit once more, as soon as he feels like he can get away with it. Double expansion, though, from the Zerg. Getting both the left side as well as the right side going. Creep spread looking a little bit lackluster. Yeah, trying his best. Banshee is indeed going to get sniped now, but some of the drones and some of the HP on the queens. Okay, also take a bit of a beating. Man, this Banshee is getting bullied. Barely not getting any additional kills and now accepting its fate. It was time for you to no longer take up any supply. Yeah, it's the worst fate of a StarCraft unit. When you realize the only thing you are is wasted supply. Sad. There's the armory coming up, though. And yet again, we have Cure going into a 1-1 timing attack. Bailing speed is not yet finished. 1-1 upgrades also not yet done. We once more, just like we had in game number 1, we've got some siege tanks in cheeky positions. This time around, the second one was brought out as well. 1-1 and Bailing speed is just seconds away from finished, but can Solar still hold out? And remember, we saw that lair a little bit later, right? We saw the upgrade start up slightly suboptimally. Is he gonna pay the price because of it? Well, I guess we'll find out. Bailing speed is done. Centrifugal hooks. It is a very powerful upgrade, and I think this will be good enough for the Zerg. If he would have had 1-1 finished at this point, I think the defense would have been easier. But it is a defense in the end. And while the hatchery did take a little bit of a beating, health is a resource, right? I mean, you can always transfuse it. It will regen as well over time. Oh, we have a little hit squat. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Brrrt, brrrt. Man with gun! Man with gun! All right. Cure was faking it, man. He pretended like he was going home. In the meantime, we have a simultaneous attack on the right. Man with gun! Man... Okay, trying it again. Nah, you guys aren't even hitting a hatchery now, dude. Nah, sorry, lads. Nah, you didn't... you know, that was nothing. But, of course, Solar did double expand earlier on, right? So, those extra workers that were mining on the left side, they have now found some fresh new mineral fields here, all the way on the right. 4th Command Center here for Cure. Not going for any sort of 8 racks all in on 3 bases. Now, we've seen players do the same builds over and over and over again historically. And still be very, very popular. Names like, for example, Innovation. He was known as the Machine for a good reason. He would literally do the exact same thing for like years. And win so many tournaments despite all of it. I mean, he did mix it up every once in a while. Ooh. Okay, well, that was not ideal there for Cure. Still, though, he's getting some good value. Lurkers, by the way, are gonna be once more the unit that Solar is opting to go for. Yeah, and you can hardly fault someone for doing the tried and true gold standard build over and over and over again. As we do have the Zerg now crashing through all of this. Cure maybe overstaying his welcome a bit, but I don't mind it too much. Like, both Solar and Cure here are playing very normal StarCraft. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for a new build order that you need to go ahead and practice over and over and over again, and that doesn't really have any weaknesses, this is what I would recommend for both Zerg as well as Terran in this matchup. Medevac drop inside of the main base too. Push on the left does kill the hatchery. Medevacs will fall. Lurker transition has been spotted. Marine pushes, though, continue left, right, and center. Target firing down a few of the Hydralisks as well, but there's plenty more of those. Fusion core coming up again, and then also a second starport. Curiously enough... Curiously enough... Ha! Loko, you're so funny. Thank you, guys. That was an accident. We are skipping out ghosts altogether. Ghosts are now better than they ever have been. Banelings have been buffed as well, but everybody seems to allergic to both of those units lately. Another hatchery snipe that was so low HP that it died pretty much immediately. No chance for Solar to cancel it, so that's the drone and then the 275 minerals down the drain. Are we gonna push into lurkers? Ugh. I mean, he sets up a gigantic concave, so a lot of the splash damage here will be negated. Widow Mines do get surrounded. Seismic Spines just finished up, though, during this little skirmish. That's the extra ranged upgrade for the lurkers. Another drone dies. Yeah, and Curious quietly chipping away. A couple of Vipers here overextending. Cure is quietly chipping away at everything Zerg. We have the advanced ballistics upgrade. That's the ranged for the Liberators. Like, all of this is textbook. It's like they went to Terran University, right? And this is what Cure learned. This is how we do it. Purely execution. Another hatchery snipe here on the left once more. Ay, ay, ay. Actually, 17 drones. I feel like it's been 17 individual workers going down, though, rather than, like, a drop that killed, like, 14 of them and then 3 more along the rest of the game. Here we go again! Dude, Cure is an absolute hatchery murderer. This man hates hatcheries. Now, actually, he got body blocked by his own Changeling here. He tried to restart it up. The Changeling here making it difficult. Liberator push over here on the right. Solar is being overwhelmed. The Liberators are now making it difficult for the Zerg to really get those lurkers in position. We do have some Vipers out. Parabomb is nice. Maybe some abductions. I mean, they are clumped up, so I guess now that the Hydras can close the distance, it's playable once more. But there is so much production here for the Terran. Hatchery starts up once again on the left side of the map. Nice retargeting right there by Cure, who still hates hatcheries. He could probably target this one down. He will target that one down. It's another kill. My god, it's like a dozen hatchery kills. It's like 1 hatchery per minute. At least in this particular game. You shall never expand. Maybe we need to give Cure a cool nickname, you know? Like, he deserves all the credit. He can be the Gandalf Terran. He can be... Yeah, he doesn't really have a very cool nickname, I don't think. Maybe we need more nicknames. GG gets cold, though. Cure just absolutely destroyed Solar. Like, Solar, I mean, I can make it sound nicer than it is, but this final game was very one-sided. Solar just got out-controlled, outpaced, outmaneuvered. And he got outplayed by literally the most conventional Terran strategy out there. I think a lot of people will look at a build like this from Terran and think, oh yeah, this is something I could go ahead and do as well. But Cure basically executed it to perfection. And yeah, you can't really criticize it all too much. It's highly effective. I just always think that, like, if you go up against the absolute top dogs, right? Usually they will try to go for something that will abuse that knowledge. Like, if you are a Zerg player, I think against somebody like Cure, you could open up with really greedy triple hatch before getting your link speed going. Before the Reaper even arrives on your side of the map. Because what is Cure going to do about it? He's going to open up in the most normal way possible. I think cutting a few corners here and there is a really good approach. And we see that all the time from the very highest ranked players in the world. The ones that are winning the biggest tournaments. They will not just play the matchup. They will not just play the map. But they will also play the player. And I guess that's something I miss sometimes with both Cure and Solar. Either way, Cure, he played some phenomenal StarCraft here. And he gets the job done.